So again, I'm using Eclipse. If you don't have Eclipse installed, make sure you install that. I mean, you don't have to use Eclipse. It's not required, but it's just easier because I'm using the same IDE. So if you want to follow along, you can always refer to it. If you're using NetBeans, that's completely fine. NetBeans is very similar to Eclipse. The layout is almost like identical. If you're using JGrasp, it's another IDE, but JGrasp doesn't have the nice IntelliSense you'll see in here, so that's another option. And if you want to use Notepad++, that's okay too, but maybe the first few assignments. Later on, you might want to switch over to Eclipse or something better. Okay, so in Eclipse here, if you want to fire up your Eclipse, and we're going to just create a class or even few classes, so you can get a hang of how you can create classes in your project folder. Okay, I'm using the chapter 1 here. So instead of chapter 1, I'm going to create another project just so we remember how to do that, right? So from here, you can create a project by right-clicking in the blank section here, go to New Project, and it's going to be a Java project. Okay, so pick that Java project. And the name of your project is, I'll just call this unit 1. It is something a little bit more meaningful. I'll just say unit 1 Java 1, right? Because I'll be having Java 2 later on too. So, and you can leave the default as is. The JRE, the runtime environment will be 1.8. If you have a different version, I think 1.7 will still be fine too, but 8 is default here. And then you could just, I think, click finish. The next part, you'll see that it just shows you some other object settings. We're not going to mess with these here in this class, so just go ahead and click finish. And there is our project. Java1, expand that folder, and you have the SRC folder here, and so when you write your class, it's going to go into your SRC folder, because right now it's empty. So usually you create a package. Again, a package is nothing more than a folder or multiple folders that organize your classes, because when you write your programs, once it gets complicated, gets large, then you break that into a lot of classes. Like you have a class for food, a class for toppings, a class for cost, a class for whatever, right? So you have a lot of classes, and they'll be jumbled up in a single place. It's much easier to maintain that way. So let's create a new package, and just click on the source folder here. Again, usually everything can be done with a right click of the mouse. A new package, or if you want to go with the shortcut on the top, is this orange, kind of yellowish orange icon here with a plus sign. Okay, so again, here is the package. This is the class. If you don't see this, because maybe you're in a different perspective, so make sure it's in the Java perspective. On the top right, if I go to Java EE, you see that you don't see those icons. Okay, so it's different. Each different perspective or layout will look different for a different purpose. So we're not using the Java EE version here. It doesn't mean you can't code in it. You can. It's just that the output, the layout will be different. So I'm using the Java layout. So you can go access there, or you can access the perspective from the window drop down on the top menu here, and then go to perspective, and then choose the perspective here. So mainly we're just using Java perspective. So create a package, and a package is usually followed by it's like a top level domain name stuff, like your company name, right? So if there's something like, I mean, you don't have to use it, it's just that by convention, most will use it because when you build applications for the web, for mobile, you have that name, and you make it unique. So, and that's how you build an app or, Google or Apple, you use a domain name because your domain is unique, right? So I can say something like com dot maybe like gtc.java1, right? You can do something like that. So if you read it backward, it's like Java1 is a subdomain of Gateway is a company. Well, actually, it should be an edu, but it doesn't matter. Yes.
So the first line is the actual code file, and then the next line is automatically created new one is a package, and then the way the code itself has the actual class.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So right. So these are just folder names basically. Okay. So right. So the package is just it's folder structure to store your actual class. So right now we don't have any classes yet. And so now once you create that package, then you can have multiple packages. You're not limited to one. You can have like hundreds of packages in here. It doesn't matter. Okay. But in this case, we just create one, and then you can create a class inside it. So when you create a class, right-click on it, and then go to New Class, or again, click the green icon here on the top next to the package, and just say New Class, and you see that the package is already filled in for you, and then the name will be just so the class here would be like, if you think of a class as a table in a database. Okay, so a class should be an entity, and usually when we have the name of the class is always singular. Okay, even though you think that a class of students, but really if you think about each individual object is a singular, so the entity itself is singular. So that's why by convention you see that all the classes you see in Java or any language you see is always singular. Okay, so that's why you don't see the dogs class. You see a dog class, right? You have a lot of dogs objects, but the class itself is just singular. I mean, there's no rule again, just convention. Okay, so we can say something like, since this is the main program, you can do something like main Java program, right? It just runs your program here. You could make it more meaningful if you want. It doesn't really matter. Okay, and then down here, if it's not already checked, you can check the first box here that says public static void main. If you don't check this box, then it won't be included, and then you have to type it yourself. Okay, so I'm a little lazy, so I click that, and then click finish, and it gives that to me automatically in line 5. If you don't put that, then you only see this. Okay, so then you have to go there and then manually type it yourself, which isn't that bad. So every class when you create, if you include that static void main, okay, so that's the main program here because you have a main method. Okay, if it doesn't have the main method, then it's not the main program. We execute from, because class can be called from any other classes. Okay, so for now, this is the main method, and this is a comment, right? We learned that it's double dashes, slashes. And that can only apply to a single line. So if I type in, if I keep going like this, I need to do a word wrap. So I mean, just the IDE configuration here, as you can see, it goes all the way to the off the screen. If you don't like that, you can always go up here to the, I think the icon here, right? You see the little icon with the like a carriage return arrow. You click that, and then it will force your page to do that. Return on the end. You can do that. If you don't see the icon there, you can get it from the window, and then the editor. Wait, I forgot to show you somewhere. I know it's somewhere in here. For that where, but you can change that word wrap. Different perspective. So it's that icon there, and then you wrap your text so you can see it. Okay, so again, this was a single line. If you want to comment in 2 lines, then you can have to go and do it again. Okay, comment line 2, right? So these are all comments. They will be ignored by the compiler. When the compiler sees those two slashes, it just ignores that line. It doesn't even need to spend time to process it, right? So, and which makes a lot of sense. You don't need to. Okay. If you want to comment multiple lines, then you can use that slash with the asterisk. Okay. And then if you use this IDE, if you enter, it will give that for you. So you will always close with the matching star and then close the slash as well. Okay. And then between here, I know if you keep entering, you see those stars are there. It's just for niceties, right? It just makes it look nice. You don't have to have those stars in there. You can just take all these out if you don't want it, and that will still be fine. As long as it's contained within the open tag here with the closing tag. It's like HTML, right? The opening tag and the closing tag. Then all those lines from lines 8 through line in front of line 12 before the start here is all comments. As here, you can say multi-line comments. Can go in here. So again, all of these will be ignored by the compiler. Okay, and I highly encourage you to do this when you write your programs. Always comment your code. When you hear people say, always document your code or comment your code, that's what you do. And you do that by saying things like, oh, what does this piece of code do, right? So you know what's going on. So other programmers can also know what's going on, because when you write the program, especially when you work with a team, then other programmers need to see your code too, and if you don't explain what's going on, then they have to trace the whole code or run it to see what's working, and that will be wasted 5, 10, or 20 minutes of their time, right? So efficiency is the key. Okay, and then so your statements can go in here. Again, the curly brace up here, they have to match. Okay. If you don't include that here, then this will always go through the internal out. Okay, internal out first. Then this is the matching for this one here, and then close that, and it will go out and find the next opening one here, and then there's no matching tag brace for that, and then your system crashes. Okay, so make sure they're always matched. And a good rule of thumb is that as soon as you open it, close it right away. Okay, so and then, for example, if I say if 1 is 1, then I can say open it, and then I can close it right away. So that's why the IDE closes it for you right away. If you don't have this IDE, you just again force it to close right away so you don't forget. And because as you write code inside here, you will tend to forget sometimes. Okay, so that's that. Right, so I'm going to remove this from here. Okay, so output data. Here the name is the package. You'll have a package called com.gtc.java, and then you don't see it here, but when you reference the actual class itself, then it will be something like dot the class name, which is the main Java program, right? When you reference other classes from other packages, then you have to reference that from here. But now, because we're already in that package, we don't name that here. You just know that this folder, this file, which is the same file as the class name here, is nested inside a folder called Java1, nested inside a folder called GTC, inside a folder called com. Okay. Okay. So and here for outputting data, so you can say something like, again, system. When you do system here, notice you don't have to import anything. It's included by default in Java already. Okay, so the system is a class, and then followed by what the IDE tells you what's available. So all of these are available in the system class. Okay, you can see a lot of them here. And for output input, there are two here, output input here. So we just basically out, right? And then dot, and then print. So print ln or just print, or print f. We'll do the print f later. For now, just put print ln, and then it tells you that it expects a string. Okay, when you print something, it's always string. Even though the variable name is an integer or an object, whatever it is, the output result is always a string. That's why it tells you that it must be a string. Okay, so when you output to the screen or to the console is string, when you read data from the console to the program, it's always in string format as well. So even though you say in your your prompt, enter an integer number, you're just making sure that the user knows to put a number instead of a character. But when you read it in, it's always string. And then once you read in, then you have to convert it to an integer. So it's always in that process. Yes.
Can you put the error check before we force the error only in the time?
Yes, you can force it so that it don't put other characters. But it doesn't mean that it's going to be of that type, right? It's still going to be string when you come in when the read in.
Like if I needed, say, somebody from earlier, that I made it so that the only type that could put in the right time is the error. Wasn't.
Yes, you can do that. You can force it by also by just checking it before you actually read the data. You can check it first. If it has a space or has a character, then you can say not allowed. Enter an integer between 0 and 9, something, right? Yes. Okay, so you want to print something here. You put here in the string here. I could put, like here again, my first Java program, and then so a string, you always enclose the string inside a pair of double quotes. Okay, not single quotes. It's different in Java. In some languages, it doesn't matter. Like in JavaScript, for example, you can use single quotes. Double quote doesn't matter. But I think in Java, you have to put double quotes for a string. A string is a set of characters more than one character. It doesn't matter if you have any characters or not. I could put no characters at all. It will still be a string. Okay, like this is an empty string, right? There's nothing in there. This is a one character string, and this is a number of characters string. Okay, and then if you do another one, let's see, Control D. Oops, there's a shortcut for this. I don't remember which one. So if I do another one for system dot out dot print, here we write this out, and then when it shows like this, you can just either move the arrow up and down, or you can tab it, I think. Yeah, well, yeah, it's the arrow up and down, and then you just click on it, so you don't have to type the whole thing. So, for example, if I do just a shortcut, print here, if I like it, I just tab it, and then it will take that, and then just hit enter. It grabs that for me. Okay, so if I do here again, so this is a character. I have too many. So if you put a single quote, that means this is just a character. Okay. A character will be just one single character. I cannot put two characters in there. If I put two in there, you'll see that there's a red line to tell you that that's not allowed. Okay? And if you mouse over this, it will tell you it's an invalid character constant. So if you want to use two characters or more, then change the quotes to double quotes. Make it a string. Otherwise, if you just say, I just want a single character, then that's a single quote, and that's a character. So those are the rules, and again, in Java. And if you want to print numbers, you can say again system.out.print line number. You just put some numbers in there. You don't have to put any quotes around it. So don't put quotes around it. If you do, it will treat it as a string. But again, even though this is a number, it will be printed out as a string anyway. Okay, so in this case, it doesn't matter. It matters only if you want to do some calculation right in here. So if I put 456, it will just print that out, right? But if I do another one, I say system.out.print line, and then if I say 4 plus 5 plus 6, right? Now that's different. I'm doing a expression inside that paren there. Again, the print only prints as a string, but because 4, 5, and 6 have a plus in there, I do addition, and I get the result, whatever the result is. In this case, it will be 15, and then we'll print out 15 as a string to the console. Okay, so this one here is different than if I wrap that inside a square bracket. Quotes. If I do that, that's exactly what I see: a 4 plus a 5 plus a 6. Okay, because it's a string, it doesn't evaluate. But if I don't include the string, then it will evaluate first, and then output the result. Okay, so if I save this, and then to run this program, you just basically go up here, click the play button, the green button, or I think you press the F5 key, the function key F5, it will also run it for you. Sometimes that's quicker. So either way is fine. So click on it, and if it runs, it will output to the console down here on the bottom, and you see that my first Java program, the first line, because it's an ln, right? It forces the carriage return, so it moves to the next line, moves that print head to the next line, prints the letter A, the next line the number 456, and then the result of that expression. Okay? Nice and simple. Okay, so here's a shortcut to type these statements here. System.out.print. As you can see, if you type it, it's kind of long. The shortcut is you just say out. Okay, out, and then tab. I think a control tab. SOUT control tab. Control space. I'm sorry. Control space bar. It gives you that. So it saves you a lot of typing. Okay, so you don't have to type it. It's the SOUT and then control space bar. So your pinky and then your thumb, you press that, and then it shows up. And then you put your cursor right in that parameter already. You just keep typing your output in there. Just some shortcuts in there. And if you want to comment these out, like for example, if you want to comment these out, right? You can do like this one doesn't have it here. I'm surprised. Unless it's not turned on. So there are some shortcuts too. But anyway, so if you select that line 14 and select all of them, if you press the control / you see that it puts those slashes in front of you, in front of those lines. Single line quote marks, right? And if you do it again, it takes them out. Okay, so really quick way to comment out your code. And this is how it is. And then if you want to do a multi-line, like the star in front of it, like this, so you can do like that, and then you find the end of that. I want to comment this group of lines out. You can do that as well. But you can see that it's kind of hard. It takes me like a few seconds. The easier way is, again, you highlight it, and you press Control-Shift, again, the forward, and then that will block, quote that entire block of code into multi-line format if you don't like the single line. And then if you go back again, just do, again, it doesn't do it this time. I think I lost it. So just some shortcuts in the IDE. Again, only for Eclipse. It doesn't apply to other IDEs, but so sometimes if you say, well, how do I get this line out so fast? What do I do? Right? Just SOUT and then control spacebar. Okay, so you can see that we printed out 4 lines. And there's some special characters you can also use and for printing out, for formatting, so you have like 4 lines in here. If you use the print without the ln, then you see they're all on a single line. That's not nice, right? So to achieve this, you can also do something like with the /n. /n is for a line feed. So I could do something like this. For example, if I just copy this, okay, put it in here. Okay, so we'll also think you want to close the left side here. You should just double click on the name here on your file. Double click it, and so it removes that. It closes that, so you have more space to write. If you again just double click it again, it shows up again. So I'm going to do this so I have more room to type. And let me just do this as well so I have more spaces to show you. Okay, so I want to show you the concatenator in Java. Concatenator is you can combine multiple strings together in a single line. So I can write all of these here in a single statement here by using the concatenator. That is just the plus sign, right? So a plus, if you have a string plus something else, then everything will be in a string. Will be conjoined as a single string. It's like a compound string. Okay, if you don't have any string like this, then they will treat this as an operator, an addition operator. So just be careful here. But I'm showing you anyway. We won't get there until like the next couple chapters, but it's nothing wrong to know ahead, right? So I'm going to join this first line here, and with the second, which is the letter A, put that there, right? And then plus the next one is like the number 4, 5, 6, and then plus the last part here is an expression, right? So if it's an expression, then you put that inside the paren. Make sure you put that inside parentheses, so it will calculate that first, and then it will add it to the result as a string. So I can put it 4 plus 5 plus 6. Okay, so we'll save this. We'll print this out. We'll see what it looks like. Compare this to the first 4 lines plus our last line. But before we print this out, I'm going to go right above here, and let's just put another line here. So again, SOUT, control space bar, right? And just put a double quote and put some equal signs in here to kind of separate this group from the bottom group. Okay. And we'll see if this is the same result or not. We'll find out. Okay, so save it and then run. So I have here, as you can see, and let me close this thing back, you can see better. You can see this way. So they look quite similar, but it's not formatted nicely, right? It's on a single line. If you code it out, it looks kind of same, because the first line is here ended with the program with a dot, and then followed by the A, and then the word number 4, 5, 6, and then the result 15. Okay? If you want to have it format exactly like this, the first group here, then this is what you do. So you go up here. After each line, you put a \n. Okay, that means it's a line break. Causes a line break in the code. So that will, once you print that program dot, and it goes to the next line, prints the letter A, and then you again put that /n here again, even though it looks weird, but oh, actually you can't because it's a character, right? So this part is really tricky. It's a character. You can change it to a string if you want, right? But if it's a character, I guess this part it doesn't matter because we're going to print out to the whole screen. Okay, so we'll change it to a string. Just put that into the double quotes, and then we'll put that /n here. And then 4, 5, 6. After that, you need to put the /n. So since you can't put 4, 5, 6 in here, you can say plus double quote /n, right? You can add that in there. After you print 4, 5, 6, put a carriage return. And then the last one here, it doesn't matter, but you can always put that to plus /n. So that if you print the next line after this, it will go on the next line. Otherwise, it will continue from the value 15 from there on. And just to show that it does work, you can copy line 19 and then just paste it below it. So you see that should be on its own line. Well, it is anyway because we put the print line here. But just to show, we have two spaces down. because this one here already generates a carriage return. We add another one, so it's going to have 2 lines, a white space, and then the next line. Okay, so save that. Again, this is only for formatting purposes. You don't have to do it. If it's easier to do it this way, then do it this way. If you feel that this is shorter for you, then do it that way. Okay, there's no rule. I'm just showing that you can do like that as well. So when you run this, you see that they look very identical now, right? With the same output, same result, except you have 1 line versus 4 lines. Okay? Yeah.
So when you're naming a package, you have to name it in a format like a URL where the domain name and everything, or you just use singular?
Oh, you can. Yeah. No, there's no rule. You can name anything you want.
Okay.
You can just say my favorite TV show. Doesn't matter. Yeah, you can use dot. You don't use dot. It's just the folder name. Just name the folder itself. Okay. So yeah, you can call whatever you want. Okay, it's fine. Okay. Any questions on what we just did? Again, just show you different ways how you can format your code. And to zoom in, zoom out, like, you know, because you can see my font is much bigger than yours, maybe. I don't know. If you don't, if you press the control, no, minus and plus, you see that I can, you know, resize my code, my screen, the text here. I just do that so you can see it better on the screen. But when you code it, you might want to make it a little bit smaller or larger, depends, so you have more room to type. Okay. So all these are just output. We didn't do any input. Just remember that if you do a print ln, then that carriage return will automatically be created for you. If you don't put that in here, so if I were to, you know, just use the print for the first part. If you just do that, or I keep that in there. Bless you. If you use print, then you'll see that it will look just like the one we saw earlier before, down here, before I put the /n in here. Right? Because it just print means it continue printing until the end of that string, or whenever until you issue a print line or a /n. Otherwise, if you run it, you see that it's just a string of text. Right? You do a string of text all across. And then the dash is also because when I finish printing the expression 4 plus 5 plus 6, 15, because I didn't issue a carriage return, this line will actually add it to that end, that line, and then when it reaches the end of that last equal sign here, then it will issue a carriage return from this line. So the print line doesn't mean it will print, it will give the carriage return first. It will do at the end of that statement. That's why all these 4 statements here are in a single line, and then this line will append to that. So if you do it this way, and then you want to put a /n here, right? So either way. Okay. Just undo this again. So comments can go. Comments, as you can see, put up here. You can put in here. You can put after the statement is fine too. Okay, you can do that as well. That's completely fine. You can't put inside here, right? I can't put inside here. If I do that, then from here onwards, all comment, and it will be an error because it said, oh, this print line expects a closing paren. It doesn't find one. Okay, so you can't put inside there. But if you put at the end of every statement, then that's fine. Why is that? Well, the reason is because all these lines can be on a single line. Except, well, this comment is not. This comment, no. Well, the comment you can't. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it must be outside of every statement. Yeah. You can put before or after. Well, not before. If you put before, then everything before that will be like a comment. So you don't want to put that. It's after. But just so you know that these languages, if I take this out, can all be let's see, on a single line. So, right? Because that's what Java is. I mean, that's what program is. I can put all these in a single line, and they would still work. Let's see. Okay, as you can see, this is this long line of text from line 15. This number means just one line of text or a code. And so as you run it, you still get the same result, right? So to the computer, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter you put in a single line or a lot of multiple lines. It's just that it's harder for us to read. Okay, so you can do the whole thing in a single line of code. It's kind of weird, but you can. Without comments. If you comment, it doesn't work. So that's just how computer reads. And it knows it by issuing that semicolon. So when you run these lines here from here to here, when it finds a semicolon, that's the end of one statement, and then it goes to the next part, and then it finds the next statement, and so on. So that's what you need that to separate each statement. Okay? So comments go in there. We have a little bit of time, so I'm going to do a little bit about on the variables. So you can do that when you go to chapter 2 next week. We'll deal with the variables and data type. So far, all these are what's called just literal constants, right? So this is string literal or constant literal. A string here, a character here, an actual number, dashes, and so on. Okay, so variable names are very useful. So variable names, again, I'm doing inside the main function here. This is all in the main function. Okay, make sure you put it in here. So you cannot put this, the output here has to be coming from within a function. You cannot put it outside a function, like out here. Okay, I can't just suddenly say system.out.print hi. Okay? As you can see, it won't let you do it. Okay, so the print out here or print or read in or something like that can only be done inside a function like so. Okay, outside here is only allowed if you want to put like other functions or fields. We call those data fields or attributes. So if I click another function out here, then that's fine. But otherwise, all should go inside here. Yes, yes. You can comment out here. You can put outside here. That's fine too. Anywhere inside the entire program, you can put outside here. That's completely fine. Okay. I actually encourage you to put that out here. So when you write your assignment, I want you to say this is Java1, and then I'll ask you to your name, and then the program title, whatever it is, and then description. Okay. Kind of describe what this function, what this program does, and then maybe like a date. Okay, so you actually put that out there, so that's you. Okay. You have a question? No? Okay. Yeah. So you can put it on the top of your programs. Actually, I encourage you to do that in every program you submit and put that in there. It's for your record as well. So you put that there, so you know. Oh, you know what? I wrote this program on this date, and this is what the program does. So in this case, we just, I'll put in some statements to the console, right? And the title will be just like, my main Java program, and so on. So comment. So here you can say, so if I want to comment about this function here, I can put on top of it. You can do the single line comment. You can say this method here displays or prints, right? Prints some statements to console. You can do that. So when you read it, okay, that's all it does. I know, right? I don't need to look further. If it does, like later on we'll write functions in chapter 3, you can say, this function calculates 2 integers or something, or this function finds the largest number from a list of strings or list of numbers. Okay, so it does a specific purpose, and that's what functions do. They do a very specific task. Okay, so one thing about variable name, and then we'll go home. Variable names you find in chapter 2, we'll do that next week, is you start with a data type. So inside the main method, okay, inside the function, any variable that is declared inside a function are called local variables. So all these will be local variables. I'll put that comment here. Variables. Okay, they're local only to this function main, and they can only be accessed within this main function. I cannot read it from elsewhere. And so if I have a second function down here, that function cannot use those variables. Okay, they only access inside that function. So we have global variables and local variables. So here I can say something like a string, like the first string here, right? I can just say the name of that string. Since I know it's going to be a string, so you put the data type, okay? And the data type string, this is the only one in Java, data type, well, I shouldn't say only one, but for now, that uses these, the capital S, which is a class, right? So make sure you use the capital S for the string and not the lowercase. If you use the lowercase, it doesn't know what that is. Okay, so it's only for string in this case. So string, a variable type, and the name will be like, just say, I just call this like I don't know what, message. Okay, and then you would assign the message to this string here. So you could put like this, copy this, put it here, and then you terminate that string, that statement. Okay, so I create my local variable called message, and as you can see, we don't put public or private out here. Okay, you can't. I'll tell you why later, but for now, you're not allowed to do that here. Just the data type followed by the identifier name, and then the assignment. If you don't include that variable assignment here, you can just say, string message, and you can terminate that here, and then later on you can say message is now that string. Either way is fine. Okay, however you choose to do it, it's completely fine. Sometimes you want to just declare it, and then you don't use it until later. So either way, so I'm going to put it back. That's the string, and then the next is the character A. So I put the character will be just char, CHR. So you can see all the keywords here are kind of like in purple color. Character, I can say A. Well, not A, but just say character A, and then assign that to the character A. And then next would be like an integer type, 456. So you can say int num1. I can say that, and then just 456. And then the next is also int 456. I can do expression, so it's a sum of integers. So you can say also integer type sum is equal to 4 plus 5 plus 6. Okay, so we have that. Then you can print them out. And let me just copy these. Put it down here. Okay. And then in the print statements here, I will, instead of this line, I just put the variable name in here, the identifier, which is the message. The message here. This is a long one, but you can say character A here. And then the 456 is a num1. And then you have the sum down here. Okay? So this is the preferred way to do it as you progress and as you move forward. Okay, so you put everything in variable names. Why? Because later on, if I want to change it, I just change it one place and it fixes it everywhere else. Whereas if I do this way, you have to manually look at your code and where has it been used, and you change that X number of times. Okay, so you save this and then run. You'll see all three parts that are exactly the same. Okay. And then if you change anything here, it will change it down here automatically very easily. So we'll talk about variables later, but these are all, again, local variables, only local inside this function called main. Okay. Global variables, we'll talk about that, is any variable you declare outside of your function will be like outside here. So if I do something like a string name is Chris. Now that is a global variable. Okay, so we'll deal with that later. Any variable name outside of it be just this is a global. I'll put that here for now. Global variable, and then we have a local variable. These global variables are unique. They have a special name. Call it field. Okay, field, or call this field. You have the field, data field. You have things like attributes. Okay, and there are other names as well, but usually when we refer to global variables, that's where they reside, outside of all functions. Okay, so other functions can use it, whereas the local variables can only be used within that main function. All right, that is all I want to cover in this class. And as you do the assignments, I encourage you to do all the assignments. As you will see, is basically just you kind of do what we just did here, and also show you how to do some debugging. We didn't do that, but it's quite simple. That is just basically if you have the incorrect syntax. So if I forgot to put like a semicolon here on line 28, if you run, it will tell you that is an error. So main, and the main function here on resolve is that it's a syntax error. Insert the semicolon to complete this at line 28. Okay, it tells you here. If you don't know where later on you write a lot of code, you don't see it. If you click on this link, it will take you right to that point. Okay, it tells you right away, insert a semicolon. Oh yeah, that's right, I forgot to do that. Okay, so if you put a, for example, I forgot to put that there again. If you run, it will tell you just proceed to error, invalid character constant at line 26. Again, right here. So you look at it, and you know that it's a character, so you have to have that single quote. Okay, so this is for debugging syntax errors. Logic error will be different, but a logic error will be like, so I know, for example, sum is 4, 5, and 6 here. I expect a 15. Somehow in here, I accidentally do something like sum is equal to, if I do something like plus like that. We'll learn about this later here. I suddenly do that, okay? Then you see that the result is not 15, it will be 16, and you wonder why. I'm expecting this to be 15, why do I get 16, right? It doesn't crash. It's just that you get a different result from the sum. Okay, so that does be a logic error in this example here. And the runtime is, I don't have an example, but it would be like incorrect reading from the input, or you run out of index in the array, and some other issues. Okay, any questions before we take off? All right. So I think that's it, and I'll see you guys next week. And if you have time, go ahead and reach out to 2. And next week we'll deal with data, all the data types and the variable and identifiers again. And then after that, we'll jump right into functions and objects, which is actually much more fun in chapter 3 onward. So fun, also more confusing, but we want to make sure we get these foundation things taken care of before we get out there. So have a good week. I see you guys next week.